We have Economics Paper 2, January 2025. So the first question says, which one of the following statements about the classical long-run aggregate supply curve is correct? It is perfectly inelastic when there is a high level of spare capacity. No, it is perfectly inelastic. It is relatively elastic at the full employment level of real output. That is for Keynesian. It is relatively inelastic at high levels of spare capacity. No. It is perfectly inelastic at full employment level of real output. It is perfectly inelastic. The answer is D. It's for the Keynesian that believe that at full employment, it brings about inflationary pressure, which increases cost within the economy. So it's the question 2. In 2022, the government of Brazil announced that it was introducing measures to cut the cost of bureaucracy for firms. So it's not interventionist supply side policy. It's free market supply side policy. So this policy is an example of which of the following. It's not interventionist. It's not fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is the use of taxes, so it's not inflationary or deflationary fiscal policy. And I think you know reflationary when revenue exceeds expenditure, and deflationary when revenue is less than expenditure. So it's supply side policy.
Okay, which one?
For inflationary?
Yeah. Taxes?
No, expenditure. Revenue exceeds expenditure. Okay. That is reflationary. Deflationary is when
expenditure exceeds revenue.
Revenue, yes, thank you. That's okay. So go to question. So the answer is B. Are you there? Oh, A, sorry, free market supply side policy. Go to question 3. Are you there?
Yes.
It said between January 2022 and January 2023, Turkey's unemployment rate fell from 11.2% to 9.8%. Which one of the following is the percentage change? Percentage change in the unemployment rate for Turkey between January 2022 and January 2028.
Okay.
So it is, let's work it out here. So we have the change, which is 9.8 minus 11.2 over 11.2 multiplied by 100. So that gives us negative 1.4 over 11.2 multiplied by 100, and the final answer is minus 12.5. Minus 12.5. I think it's clear. So the answer is B. So go to question 4.
So I have a quick question.
Okay, please.
This is positive or negative in this?
Positive.
This positive, right?
Yeah, that's positive. So go to question 4. Are you there?
Yes.
It says the diagram shows a country's trend growth rate and its actual output growth rate. So the trend, we have the trend growth rate, which is there. The actual point Z is a positive output gap. Point X is a negative output gap. W is still in the trend, Y is still in the trend. So it said, with reference to the diagram, which one of the following is most likely to be associated with a movement from point Y to point Z? Point Y to point Z is a positive output gap. So that is a decrease in government tax revenue. A decrease in government tax revenue will increase profit for firms, and that might encourage them to increase their capacity. So it is A. An increase in question 5, right? Yeah. Question 5, sorry. It is B. So question 5. A decrease in government tax revenue. A decrease in government tax revenue will yes. Yeah. It is A, sorry. It is A, sorry. An increase in profit for firms. It's just for firms. We're talking about output within the economy. It's not just about the firms there. An increase in the rate of unemployment. If the rate of unemployment increases, it means there's unemployed resources. That's a negative output gap. A decrease in business confidence. A decrease in business confidence will reduce output. So it is not D. So the answer is A. Question 6. It said, we have the chart. The chart shows the annual rate of inflation in Croatia as measured by the consumer CPI, January 2020 to July 2023. So it said This is the year of inflation rate. I calculated. This is the year-on-year inflation rate calculated monthly. Which one of the following can be deduced from the chart? The rate of inflation was highest in July 2023. In July 20, no, it was not the highest. The highest is around maybe
July, January.
we're doing July 2022 to January 2023, so it is not. The average price level was highest in November 2022.
There was no November.
There's no November 20, no. November, we have July, August, September, October, November. It is not.
Listen, I didn't get it because they were like.
Yeah, look at the month. January, the next one is February, March, April, May, June. So it is not. There was deflation between April 2020 to July 2020. Yes, what is deflation? A negative inflation rate. So look at January, February, March. We have from May. May, there was deflation in May. There was deflation in June. There was deflation in July. So the answer is C. Is it clear?
Yes.
Do you know how to calculate it now? Great. So go to question. So the answer is what? C.
C.
Go to question 7.
No. Section.
Yeah, section B, question 7. They said, in 2022, Guyana's rate of economic growth was the highest in the world. Its annual percentage increase in real GDP was 62.3%. With reference to this information, explain one cost of economic growth. When talking about economic growth, it simply means it implies to an increase in the country's GDP. Okay, so one of the setbacks of economic growth is increased income inequality. So why is there increased income inequality? As long as the economy grows, high income earners own assets, so it increases the value of what they have. On the other hand, low income earners that are fixed in their contracts, they will be worse off. Is it clear? There's also resource depletion, which could also bring about economic resource depletion, which is also a negative or setback to economic growth. There's also pollution. There are different setbacks when it comes to economic growth. And you have to state that according to the case study, Guyana's economic growth rate was the highest in the world in 2022 with 62.3% in real GDP. And when we talk about real GDP, we're talking about the GDP that's been adjusted for inflation. Thank you. So go to question 8. Between January 2020 and December 2022, the global price for coal per ton increased from $64.25 to $172.30. Japan is a net importer of coal. Draw a short-run aggregate supply and aggregate demand diagram to show the effect of this increase in the price of coal on the price level and the real output for Japan. So first, an increase in the price of coal will increase the cost of production for firms. So this will shift the short-run aggregate supply curve leftward from SRAS1 to SRAS2, and the rise in the price level from P1 to P2. And the real output is expected to contract from Y1 to Y2. I think it's clear.
Yes.
You should read. Okay, I think the graph is there already for us to see. We go to question 9. Are you there?
Yes.
The table shows marginal propensity to withdrawal for an economy. So for marginal propensity to withdrawal, it is marginal propensity to save plus marginal propensity to taxation plus marginal propensity to import. So that's 0.4 plus 0.3 plus 0.1. So that gives us 0.8. So multiplier will be 1 divided by 0.8, which is 1.25. Clear? Go to question 10. So we have a case study here. It said the chart shows QE in the UK between November 2009 and November 2020 in billion pounds. So with reference to this chart, explain the term quantitative easing. When we talk about quantitative easing, it implies a situation whereby the central bank buys financial assets of commercial bank in exchange for money to increase their liquidity.
So money is as purchased from commercial banks. So.
Yeah, so in exchange for money. So that increases liquidity of commercial banks. Is it clear? So yeah, with quantitative easing is a situation whereby the central bank buys financial assets of commercial banks in exchange for money to increase their liquidity. According to the case, or to the extract, QE in the UK increased from 200 billion in November to 895 billion in November 2020. You can see it there. So there's a difference of 695 billion. Is it clear?
Yes.
So that's about question 10. Question 11, are you there? Kuwait's GDP per capita and average world happiness score for 2013 and 2022 are shown in the table. This score gives a value of between 0 to 10, where 10 is the highest level of subjective happiness. with reference to, when we talk about subjective happiness, we're talking about happiness that is linked to income. So with reference to Kuwait, explain one likely impact of lower real incomes on subjective happiness. Real income is the income adjusted for inflation. Okay, a lower real income will bring about a low GDP per capita. This may result into having a lower world happiness score, as people won't be able to afford to buy those goods and services that they are supposed to buy. That reduces consumption. So if consumption reduces, people will not be happy. Do you understand? So according to the extract here, the world happiness score decreased from 6.52 to 6.11 between 2013 to 2022.
And you have to do the formula or no?
No, there's no need for formula.
There's no need for this?
Yes. We're talking about real income. GDP is there already. I think it's clear. Go to question 12.
Okay.
Okay.
Define recession.
Question 12.
Yes.
Go to question 12. It says, define the term recession. Recession is a fall in economic activity for 2 consecutive quarters. I think we've done that before anyway. Question B. With reference to the exchange, to the third paragraph of extract A, explain the term exchange rate. When we talk about exchange rate is the value of a country's currency in relative to other countries' currency. I think it's clear, or the price of a country's currency. So, for example, in extract A, a fall in the exchange rate of Japan makes importation value increases. As a result, import decreased by 4.3%. It's in the case of the extract A. That's 12B. Is it clear, please? Okay. Go to 12C. Analyze one likely effect of the increase in the number of overseas visitors. Extract A, line 8 and 9, on Japan's circular flow of income. When we talk about circular flow of income, we're talking about it analyzes the injection and the withdrawals of an economy. So the number of overseas visitors increased in Japan. This means export increases in Japan. Do you understand? So if export increases, it brings about more injection into the circular flow of income. I think it's clear. So an increase in exports brings about injection into Japan as money flows into the circular flow of income, and it is part of the GDP of Japan. So the graph is here. We have it. It was right anyway. We have the household, the firm, output on the right side, input on the left side, factor income on the left side, expenditures on the right side. That's all about that. I think it can be seen here. Circular flow of income. Okay. So move on to
Question D.
question D. With reference to extract A, examine the likely impact on Japan's real output of a fall in domestic consumption. Real output implies to output that has been adjusted for inflation. That's the first point there. So consumption is a component of the aggregate demand. Yes or no? So we have the C plus I plus G plus X minus N. Are you with me, please? Yes. Good. So a fall in consumption is likely to reduce aggregate demand within the economy because consumption is part of the AD. So if consumption is reducing, the AD itself would reduce because consumption is an addition to AD. So if it's reducing, that means the AD would also reduce. So AD curve is likely to shift leftward from AD1 to AD2 as the price level is expected to fall. So it can be graphically represented as this. So we have our AD. Is it clear? So now also a fall in domestic consumption following the global health crisis remains a concern. It's written in the extract. Okay. Domestic consumption makes up more than half of Japan's economy. It's part of it. However, real output may not fall in the long run if other components of AD rises. That is why in the aggregate demand curve, it is short run. It is not going to be in the long run. It's not going to be in the long run.
It's not expected to continue.
Do you understand? So, and that's what I still made in the analysis here. That, however, real output may not fall in the long run if other components of aggregate demand rises, for example, export. Okay. And Japan has increasing export based on the fact that the exchange rate has dropped, has depreciated. That increases the export. And if export is increasing, export is part of the addition to the AD. So because it is only when it affects the AD that will affect the long run aggregate supply. But if it's only affecting one of the components of the aggregate demand, it's not expected to be for a long period of time. I think the point is clear. So also the impact on real output may be adjusted if the exchange rate becomes stronger, as that may bring about an increase in importation. The exchange rate is falling right now, but it doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever. So it can improve. And if it improves, it also affects import and export. Is it clear? So go to question 12E. With reference to the information provided and your own knowledge, discuss factors that the Bank of Japan might consider when setting the base interest rate. According to figure 1, the base rate of interest in January 2024 is negative. It's negative 0.1. You said the base rate is negative. I'm just going down to show you. Yeah, it's negative. Look at it. It's minus 0.2, negative. When you trace it, it's minus 0.1. Do you get that? It's negative. Do you get it, please?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So in negative, according to the extra B, the BOG wants to achieve a 2% inflation target. Yes or no? So to achieve this, it is important for the BOJ to increase interest rate. If you want to achieve inflation, to correct inflation, you have to adjust interest rate.
Yeah.
So if the interest rate has to be, the interest rate is giving us the negative figure here. And the BOJ wants to achieve an inflationary target of 2%. So to achieve an inflationary target of 2%, we won't have a negative interest rate. It has to increase the interest rate.
Yeah.
So as soon as the interest rate increases, savings increases, demand pull inflation reduces. Do you understand the point I'm making? Okay. So it is important to increase the base interest rate. This means that there won't be any case for maintaining a low base interest rate that was introduced at the time when the inflation rate was below the inflation target. According to the case study, there was a time that the inflation target, the interest rate was below the inflation target, so there wasn't need for any adjustment. But right now, there's a need for adjustment. So factors that BOJ may put into consideration are as follows: 1, the exchange rate.
Yeah.
So these are things you need to talk about before you determine if you are supposed to increase the base interest rate or reduce the base interest rate, the exchange rate. So for the exchange rate I wrote, Japan witnesses a weak exchange rate. This may encourage the BOJ to increase the base interest rate to encourage demand for Japan's currency. Now, as soon as the interest rate increases, foreign savers would want to come to Japan to save more. So that increases the demand for Japan's currency. Do you get the point there? That's about the exchange rate. Okay, the other one I wrote is consumption. There was a fall in the level of consumption following the global health crisis. By increasing the interest rate, saving may increase. So the BOJ might increase interest rate to encourage more saving. So instead of people to just put their money at home, they start saving more. They're not even buying anymore. So if they're not buying, they should rather save.
Because borrowing is expensive.
Yeah, borrowing is expensive.
Yeah.
Then saving will be cheaper.
Yeah.
No, borrowing is expensive. Yet savings become beneficial.
Yeah.
Do you get it? If borrowing is expensive, saving become beneficial.
Because saving is the reward for.
No, interest rate is the reward for saving or borrowing.
So if the interest rate is low, more borrowing will happen.
Yeah.
This will encourage more saving.
It will
discourage more saving.
Yeah. Do you get it? So an increase in exchange rate, an increase in interest rate is beneficial for savers. Is it clear? So that's about consumption. Then the next thing the BOJ might put into consideration is the net trade balance. So for export rose by 3.2% in quarter 2 of 2023, while imports fell by 4.3%. So the BOJ with the government may decide to reduce the base interest. So now the BOJ might think about reducing the interest rate to encourage more exports. Is it clear? Then another thing they should put into consideration is inflationary expectation. So the prediction of government about inflation in the future. So the Japanese government expected that the annual rate of inflation should be 2.6, which is a high inflation rate because the normal inflation rate should be 2%. So in 2020, against the BOJ's forecast of 1.8, even the BOJ are forecasting that it's going to be below 2%, which is the normal inflation rate. So this may as well impact on BOJ's decision on base interest rate. So decisions about changing the interest rates are based on consumption, are based on net trade, are based on inflationary expectation, are based on balance of trade, and are based on exchange rate. I think it's clear. Great. So go to question 14, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So go to question 14. of January 2025 said between 2012 and 2022, the productivity rate in Turkey increased by 39.2%. Evaluate the likely benefits of an increase in the productivity rate. Refer to a country of your choice in your answer. So we could use Nigeria as a country. So first, what does productivity imply? Productivity measures the efficiency in the course of production. Productivity measures the efficiency in the course of production. So, and what's the formula for productivity? Output divided by input. You don't say output over number of workers because productivity can be capital productivity or labor productivity. So it's better you just say productivity is output divided by input. Now, the benefits of productivity. So the following are the benefits of increasing productivity within the economy, like Nigeria. One, and it increases output within the economy, which will in turn increase the long-run aggregate supply curve. If productivity is increasing in Nigeria, it means the long-run aggregate supply curve of Nigeria will increase because output is expected to increase. An increase in productivity may be an incentive for firms to increase their investment, which may in turn increase injection within the economy. So an increase in productivity will become an incentive for firms in Nigeria to invest more. And if they are investing more, it is injection within the Nigerian economy. I think it's clear. The third one, an increase in productivity will result in a reduction in the average cost of production. As soon as productivity increases, average cost of production is expected to fall. And if average cost of production is falling, the price for goods and services becomes affordable, leading to increasing demand within the economy. You get it? Increasing demand or increasing consumption in the Nigerian economy. So an increase in productivity will bring about an increase in the profitability of firms, which may in turn increase government revenue through taxes. So the government of Nigeria is expected to make more tax on revenue or more tax on profit because firms in Nigeria are making more profit due to the fact that productivity is increasing in Nigeria. Just a case study, okay? So another point about productivity is this. An increase in productivity is likely to bring about an increase in exportation, as the price of exports are expected to be lower when there's productivity increasing. If productivity is increasing, average cost of production is falling. Prices are expected to fall. So that means, prices are expected to fall. So that means exporters in Nigeria will become internationally competitive. And that would improve the balance of payment current accounts of Nigeria. Is it clear? However, an increase in productivity may increase unemployment if increasing productivity is as a result of investment in technology. Look at how it works now. That's why when I said productivity is output divided by input, I didn't say output divided by numbers of workers. So because increasing productivity might be as a result of increase in investment of capital goods like technology, equipment, machinery. So if machines are replacing workers, we call it technological unemployment. So if there is technological unemployment, it simply means workers are made redundant. As a result of that, government might have to spend more. Government might have to spend more on redundancy, on unemployment benefits. Do you get the point I'm making?
More revenue.
Yeah, so that's the first point. The second point is that an increase in productivity may bring about an increase in government spending through unemployment benefit, which I just talked about now. So I believe you're getting with the point here. So productivity might increase in Nigeria. If productivity has increased in Nigeria as a result of increase in purchasing of capital goods, it means workers are being replaced with equipment. Yeah. Do you understand? So that increases unemployment in Nigeria. The point is clear, right? Okay. Also, an increase in productivity may be difficult to measure in the service sector, which means there may be an inaccuracy in values that determine the increase. The service sector does not quantify. It's about quality and it's service rendering. So we might not be able to measure the extent to which productivity has increased. Yes. So these are all about productivity, and this ends paper 2 of January 2025 economics. Thank you.